How are we all doing, everyone? I hope you're keeping well out there. I thought the stream had crashed, but actually, my Google account was signed out. Wanted me to sign back in, which just at the wrong time, obviously. How are we all keeping? It's good to be back doing a Sunday night live stream. I hope the sound is okay. Dennis has just got a black screen. That's never good. I'll get into the chat in a second. We will need a mouse. We have a little friend here who doesn't like mice, but we'll get to that in a while. We have gotten no particular order. Let's try and sort this out. Top chat. You know, it's that long since I've done a live stream. Well, I don't know how long it is really, but I'm actually really forgetting how to work the live stream thing. YouTube have changed some of the features and that. So it took a few minutes earlier on just to get my head around it all again. We have no particular order here tonight in the chat. Dennis, Jim Simpson, Kevy B, even Kev, Michael Dranfield, Rose White, which is White Sapphire, to anyone that doesn't know. The Roundy Mooney, the man with the blue spanner, always good to see you here. And the Chipmunk. We'll see you else. I'll pop in a while. Let's get down to the bottom of the chat. Let me just catch up with this. Yes, we are saddened to hear that White Sapphire has been ill, and we hope she has a speedy recovery. We have our roster, as Roundy says, we do. The first thing I say is the Russian TV. Got one of those a few weeks ago. Good man. I've actually got another one since. I'm much older than that one. I should have brought it in to show you, but I won't get into it tonight now. Tis grand. Sounds fine now. Super. Right, lovely. We are caught up with the chat. We have 9 thumbs up, 19 viewers. So Roundy Mooney's going to ask you to do something in a minute about that. Lovely stuff. Wouldn't be a Sunday night live without a little drink of some description or. But tonight we are drinking Scotland's favourite lager, Tennent's. Roundy Mooney is falling over pilots at the minute. He's got a run of 5 of them together. Oh no. Pilot radios. The last radio I went near ended in tears. That was the, you will have seen the video. You would have seen the video. The interesting Pi with the EF50 RF amplifier with the bad mains transformer. We actually dug out a mains transformer for it. We ran the mains transformer, not connected to anything in the scrap chassis. That was okay. We then went to the effort of putting it into the Pi, and then it failed. Now, to be fair, it had been stored in not so wonderful conditions. It came out of a skip. The radio did, another Pi radio, some years ago. So it wasn't surprising. So we're waiting to get another transformer because we want to get that set up and running. That's going to be an interesting set. Never seen an EF50 before in a radio. Not a domestic radio anyway, although the commentator from Australia tells me that there were quite a few models down there with EF50s and all. Anywho, my next victim for that is going to be this little scrap Sony reel-to-reel player. That's going to be the new power supply for our Pi friend. I think that ought to do it. I think we'll make up a bracket so that the rectifier valve can sit on top of the transformer to make a bit of space. And I think that will work quite well. She's good for 80 milliamp a HT. Which I don't think it'll want anywhere near that. Say, conservative guess would say 40 to 50. So and we should be well within limits. So it's going to be interesting. And of course, it's not some horrible paper insulated wax crap. This is a proper nice Japanese transformer. In fact, I'd say the guitar amplifier lads would probably love to get their hands on one of these. And a separate winding for the rectifier valve as well, full wave rectification. So yeah, that should be good. So that'll be something we'll be getting back to, maybe over Christmas if we get a bit of time. Sadly, the diode glass is broken in the corner. One of the pieces is missing, but we just want to see how good it sounds. So that's that. Yeah, so nothing works out. Yeah, 3D printer missing knobs. Interesting, alright. Not easy though. Do like the old pilot radios, especially the old Blue Peter with the octal valves in it. Lovely radio. I have one of those here that needs an audio output transformer, which we have in stock, but just another job to get around to. Andy Cowley is here. Good evening, Andy. We also have which diagrass is it? I have a broken one here, so I scanned a good one and I'm trying to make a repo. The diagrass, I don't know if you've seen the last video, it's a Pi Export model, which doesn't come to mind now, but it's quite an unusual diagrass and doesn't have any radio stations marked on it that we'd be familiar with. It's for the it's for Asia. Let's see. Where's the diagrass? Here it is. Here it is. See? So, yeah, bit sad, but I think I'll get away with it, to be honest. I think if I glued a few bits that I have back together, then, I don't know. You might not even really say it where it is. At least it's not smashed. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting radio. And it should perform quite well with an EF50. Now, it's not a tuned RF amplifier. It's just a broadband amplifier. But even still, the EF50 was a pretty hot valve. In fact, I'd say their biggest problem was stopping it taking off. Anyway, we will see how we get on. Thanks, though, for that, Roundy. Can we have a close-up of the Russian television? I'm sure we can. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll get to that in a minute. For those that don't know, radio tele switches use phase shift on to switch on and off autonomy 7. We knew that, but there won't be any use there switching off in March. And the BBC are adamant that's going to be the end of Radio 4, which is such a shame. It's such a great signal here. On the car radio, that always stops when you scan the medium wave or the AM long wave band. It does the both in one sweep. It always stops at 198, no matter where we are in Ireland. And so it did too with the belated RTE long wave as well. Oh, sorry, he thought it was a pilot. No, we're not the Pi. Yes, you'll have to scan and redo Photoshop if bothered. I'd say, yeah, I don't know, I won't be getting into that. I think it'll be good enough. Have I tried RainX windscreen repair? I have not, but that could be something. Oh, sorry, Chipmunk. I see. Report any that are left in there. Where was that comment? Yeah, anyway, it's going to be a sad day out when the old long wave goes. Hopefully we get a few pirates up there too. There is talk of a station in, I think it's Norway. Someone's working on getting a license or has been granted a license for, I think it's 4 kilowatts. But the only problem is it's the only frequency that we're allocated is 252, which of course they're going to be fighting Algeria. It's going to make it very hard for us to hear them in this part of the world. I think the BBC could, they could, but they probably won't. 4 kilowatt is plenty, but not when it's fighting Algeria at their, what is it, a megawatt, something like that. So not great. But they're hoping that they'll be given a different frequency allocation. Hopefully something a little bit higher. The old Czech one, 270, will be an ideal. And being up that little bit higher at the highest end of the long wave band will make that area of theirs just that little bit more efficient. So we hope anyway. Now we should introduce our latest addition to the workshop. This is Jenny the cat. Jenny is 12 weeks old, or thereabouts, maybe in or around 12 weeks old. So Jenny is helping with rodent control. Well, not yet, but she's in training. Jerry PVR, good evening, everyone. In lurk mode whilst doing other stuff here. Well, you're very welcome, Jerry. And we hope you're keeping well too. 31 viewing with 15 of the thumbs up. It's almost time for me to get the old Christmas lights up here again. It's that time of year. We actually got the Christmas tree up in the house area on today, which was good. When I say we, I mean Mrs. Odgenodge, of course. Although I did bring it in for her. So. Yeah, Christmas decorations are up and we're all in the festive mood. White Sapphire would like the kitten, but I'm afraid she's not for sale. No, not for sale, not yet anyway. Do I look like a super villain stroking my little cat? Probably not. Now, what have you got to say for yourself? Is that all you've got to say about it, is it? Is that all you've got to say about it? Nothing else. Okay. You go on down into your bed. And we will give Mr. Dranfield a close-up of the little television, since he asked so nicely. And we did actually come across, I was over in England a couple of weeks ago, and I was in a place called Ashby de la Zouch, and there was a television repair shop there. You might have seen my community post on it. We went in and we had a very quick chat with the man, just for a minute, because we were under pressure with time constraints. We did say we'd call again someday. So if anyone is in the Ashby de la Zouch area, do call in to the lovely little TV repair shop. And the gentleman was telling me that the place was opened by his father in the late 20s, so almost 100 years. But he's thinking about pulling the plug, like the few remaining TV men are. Now, here we are. That is the little television. It is all in English. What's the Russian equivalent of Chinglish? Ringlish? There's the back as well. That's the power pack. So, an interesting little television. It doesn't work. To be honest, I'm not all that pushed about trying to get it working either. Because my experience of any of those little Russian TVs has been that the line output transformer has failed. So I'm happy enough for it to remain an ornament, to be honest. Yeah, he was telling me actually that he hasn't repaired a television in a couple of years now. He doesn't actually take in televisions for repair anymore. We're still doing small domestic goods and selling parts and bulbs, which is good. And he's a nice collection of vintage stuff there as well in the shop, which is lovely to see. So, yeah, time has been very tight lately between family commitments and whatnot. So we've been doing nothing here. I haven't been out in this shed a whole lot at all. The last time was when the transformer, the replacement transformer failed in that Pi radio. And I says, yeah, I've no time for this crap at the minute. Yeah, no, we'll get back into it soon. Cat, you're doing perilous things there. Little kittens have no fear. One of our good tricks is knocking stuff over. No way. Boundless energy and loads of fun in here for. She doesn't stay in here too often. She only comes in when I'm here. I wouldn't leave you locked up in the workshop. No. Be no fun. The kittens do have claws, alright. Although she's very gentle. They seem to have an awareness that they have claws or something. I don't know. Dennis says, in the village I was in yesterday, they have an appliance shop next to the corner shop. They only have 2 shops there. They do sales and repairs and have 2 units next to each other, so must be doing okay. I think if you've cornered the market and, you know, in a small town or whatever, and you've built up a good reputation, I think you probably could eke out an existence. Chairman Meow might appreciate a little bit of radio. Might do. She very well may. An interesting little train, but I'm trying to figure out how do you turn it off. There doesn't appear to be a switch. So you got this little train here, right? Someone's going to tell me this now because I can't figure it out. See this little kiddie's train, which I want to give the young fella, right? But look, takes an AA battery, but there's no switch that I can see. So how do you turn it off? Get down, you. Get down, you. You're going to press something now, and that'll be the end of the live stream. Get down. One thing cats are great at is walking across keyboards. We do appliance repair on site as domestic sparkies. This is apparently quite rare. We get lots of calls. Easy money is usually just an oven element or whatever. Yes, indeed. It can be easy money to be made. And it's there for the taking because most people don't want to know. Is that it? Does the little train just go perpetually forever? Till the battery goes flat. I can see no sign of a switch on this at all. That is weird. Who else have we got here? Richard 100 is here. Hello. Get yourself gas safe trained, and you can charge yourself a fortune. You can charge a fortune, especially to the gas companies as a contractor. But yeah, would you have to be a qualified plumber first, or a qualified, or can you just get gas trained? Yes, you can. You can get a lot of money doing 10 little jobs in a day rather than one big smelly job up in an attic covered in shit. That is very true. Yes, I remain baffled by this little train. There's no sign of an on-off switch on it. Must just go forever. I don't know. Oh, stop now. What did I do? I must have done something. Ah, how does that work? This little torch up here, this little train appears to be a lot more interesting than first thought. Pat testing is an interesting one, alright. Something I thought about taking up myself a while ago. I haven't completely gone away from the idea yet either, I must admit. Chipmunk, I also do, Pat, but I do it right. I have my Clairview and really. We charge a fiver on an appliance. Now, I don't know how this works, but if you just touch the top of this, it appears to switch on and off. Go on, cat. Go on, go on. Don't be mad. Anyway. That's interesting. You see this? Being attacked. Forget about the train. Alright. Down. Down. This is getting out of hand, cat. You're going to have to go back into the house. They're making a fortune. Facilities management companies getting them in yearly to look at the same kit, and you could have a lot of it in a big office. Oop. You end up hurting yourself. Go on. Wait. Regulations. The problem is there's no regulations on who can do pack testing, only defined as competent person. Yes, indeed. Myself and Kevin BB had a chat about this a while ago because I was asking about pack testing equipment when I was thinking about getting into it. Audio Al is here as well. Good evening, Audio Al. We hope you're keeping well. Thank you. It's good to be back. Some people choose to watch Big Clive. That's up to themselves. I did a pat test course at Chesterfield College. Reading the regulations, it appears to me that you don't even need to do the course. You don't need to do a course. You just have to be a competent person, which I found quite interesting. I was reading the. We use the same legislation in Ireland as they do in the UK, and looking at it, you don't need to actually do the course. It doesn't state that anywhere in the regulation that you have to do a course. Which is really weird. And that was interesting because it was a health and safety crowd that were advertising the course, and then they had a link on their website to the legislation, and I read through that. I thought, oh, I don't have to give you away £1,500 to be a pat tester. I don't need to do it. It's quite interesting. I didn't know pat testing went back that far. Weird. Driver film on the shortwave is watching this in work. Oh, very good. Very good. That's the way to do it. We've 34 watching with 23 thumbs up, which means someone hasn't thumbed up. But, well, we'll let them away with it. Won't we? One. Beep. Might have been optional, alright, yeah. I was at a university though, and they had a strict rule. Anything used on site needed to be what they called a safety test back then. Yeah. Well, what a lot of nonsense anyway. And I often wonder, with this pat testing, how much good stuff gets thrown out. Quite a lot, I would imagine. And then you'd wonder, like, a lot of the stuff with the money that they spend pat testing, I'm sure a lot of it could just be replaced every year. Then they got an external company in. Yeah, you have to wonder at this. It's amazing. It really is. Dennis says the HSE site is pretty informed about PAT. It's not yearly. It depends on the risk assessment for office equipment rarely moved, and it can be usually a visual. Then electrical every 5 years. Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon says, hi from Dundee. I hope that you and your family are well. Yes, seen some videos by Alan Fleckney about his repairing of modern flat screen TVs. I never realised how poorly made many of them are. They are complete muck. Michael Dranfield can fill you in on the details with them, but I certainly would have no interest now in taking the back off a flat screen television. It's quite a while. Last time I did was here, obviously. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago since I even looked at one. Can they be fixed? Yeah. Is it worth your while? No. Taking them in for repair? Not really. Especially with they're so delicate now. Stripping them, especially to do something like the backlights or that, where you have to take the screen out. Doing that without cracking the screen is very difficult. So yeah, it's not something that would interest me at all. A wall wart broken in two. Oh yeah. Taped together. Found two plugs with the back smashed off. A printer PSU with the snap DC cable. Cough wire. Cool. Makes sense. Makes sense to be testing stuff if you're hiring it. Yeah. Pat testing. It's an interesting one, Harley. €35. Would you believe that? And I have made such a long time since I've been on the live. There are still 35 people. And we have in no particular order as participants in the live stream at the minute. Audio Al, Dennis, Jim Gordon, Kevy B, Michael Dranfield, White Sapphire, Roundy Mooney, and the Chipmunk. Super. I know, it's great to be here. I'm back on the live, but hopefully I will start getting time to make some more videos. But I won't say that I will because I probably won't. I'll be only giving you false promises. But we have to get back on track at some stage. Is it true that a high percentage of flat screen TVs are made by Vestel and Turkey? It is. I would imagine about half, although Michael Dranfield will chip in with a more accurate figure. Most of the cheaper end, the budget end of the big manufacturer sets are made by Vestel as well. So your cheaper sets, your Samsungs and all, I think some of them are Vestel maybe. Nothing wrong with Vestel as such. I mean, they're all much about muchness now. I haven't, suppose the most newest television I've taken the back off will probably be 5 or 6 years old now. So what the inside of a brand new flat screen TV looks like now, I'm not too sure. But the last one I seen, it was just two small little tiny panels, power supply about the size of my hand. This is on a 42 inch, and then a signals board about the same size as my hand again, and that's it. A couple of ribbon connectors. Absolutely nothing in there. It's sometimes worth fixing a flat screen TV. Mum's current smart TV is a hybrid of two. She had the lower end non-smart model, and I found a smart version on the side of the road with a broken screen. I swapped the guts into her chassis. Now she has a smart TV. Oh yeah, it could be on the T-Con board, of course, that lives at the top. Yeah, I'm sure they still have that. Is it true the Sony models still make their own? More expensive. Sony still make their own models. I'm not too sure. We'll have to ask Mr. Dranfield. Are Sony still exclusively Sony sets? Media make the most microwaves. Don't know about microwaves. I've never repaired a microwave. So I knew a fella in Swords that used to do business with the TV shop. He was the white goods repairman. He used to buy all our spare parts, his spare parts office. And he did microwaves alright. Sony still do their own sets. Very good. And he did quite a lot of microwave repair. And still worth taking in the commercial microwaves and that, but the domestic ones probably not so much. Well, yes, I would agree with that, Chipmunk, the T-Con. And at this stage of the game, the T-Con bar probably is glued to the screen. We've had a Sony 55-inch set going perfectly for about 6 years now. Brilliant TV. I had a Sony 55-inch TV, which I got in and I had backlights gone in it. Michael Dranfield actually helped me source the correct boards, because the correct set of LEDs. He showed me where to get the model number off it for it, and they were about 20 quid, and I spent an evening replacing the backlights, and just as I nearly had the set back together, a little crack, and that was the end of that screen. Broke the screen putting it back together. After about 3 hours, it just was caught in one corner, so I sort of said never again. But our everyday TV is a 42-inch Sony, and the only thing that was wrong with that, it was one of these ones that has a separate power supply in a brick, like a laptop power supply. That had been faulty, and so I got a laptop power supply, plugged it into it, and it's working away in the house for the last 2 years anyway, at least. And yeah, so yeah, and I like the Sony. They're nice. They're a nice television. They're still quite good. Screwboy and smart TVs. Well, funny enough, I don't like the software on the smart TVs. I know our Sony is a smart TV, the one that I told you about, but I use it through a Roku box. I find that the actual the software in the TV itself is crap, so you're as well off using your own outboard rig and using it as a monitor. I wouldn't go out and buy a smart TV, although I don't think I'd have a choice these days, would I? I think they're all smart. Though, as you rightly say, you can buy a monitor. It was probably cheaper to buy a TV. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. It's changed an awful lot since they were making these wooden boxes anyway, that's for sure. At least you can fix these. Smart TVs are subsidised by selling your watch data and ad space. Most likely, yes. Wasn't there one of the TVs a couple of years ago, Michael Tranfield might know this, that did something really sneaky? They used the infrared sensor for the remote control to tell how many people were in the room watching the TV. Yeah. And that who was that? I remember reading an article about this. It came out, and it was a bit of a there was a bit of a faux pas about it, obviously. But yeah, they were using the infrared remote control sensor to see how many people were watching the box. I wonder does Michael know anything about that? I'm sure he does. But very dirty. Yeah, not nice things. I'd imagine they were using an infrared camera though. Yeah, well they were obviously using an infrared camera as the sensor for the remote control. And you know how small these things can be now. But yeah, that's what they were doing. Not taking videos, just to count eyes on the screen. That's all. Yeah, it wasn't taking actual video of the room. It was just to see how many people were watching the TV. Yeah. At one time, you could have a box fitted to your TV to monitor a watch pattern. Incredible. I'm just repairing a Samsung TV, and the picture is nowhere near as good as my Philips Ambilight. I can't finish it though. I don't know what went wrong with it. When I move it, it goes off. I bought a Sony 22-inch Trinitron X-Rental that lasted 25 years. Yeah, currently I have a 22-inch flat screen one with a DVD player that was done 11 years old. I will probably be scrapped first, yeah. The Ray Bourne is here. Good man, Ray. Ray is a man that I had a very interesting phone call with, and it must be 3 years ago now, Ray. And I promised you that I would get down and see you someday soon and make a video with you. And that hasn't materialised, but I would like to do that at some stage, Ray. Ray Bourne, for people who don't know who Ray Bourne is Ireland's premier CB radio expert and repairman. And he does fascinating repair work. And he's well known to CB radio people in Ireland. At least, John Joe. Yeah, honest to God, Ray. Yeah, one day we'll have a meet up, I'm sure. AM or FM, neither. Well, it'll be single sideband for the hardcore, wouldn't it, Ray? Now, Michael Dranfield's into the CB radio too, but he would have been a strictly FM man, I think, would you, Michael? Underscore is here. Good evening, the underscore. No AM, SSB. Ah. Who was the dude that does the repairs on YouTube? What's his name? I can see him in my head. But he'll only repair legal rigs. What he calls legal rigs. FM only. In the UK. UKCB, something or other he calls himself. Ray Bourne, I know, I'm sure. All modes. Ah, yes. You have to be careful, don't stand on the cat. Things that Ray Bourne may or may not like. UK FM bloke, Richard. Cool or not cool? I don't know. 23 channels. Painful to watch. UK FM bloke, yeah. Painful to watch. Maybe he is. I don't know. I haven't seen one of his videos in a long, long time, to be fair. Although the way things are these days, I haven't seen anyone's videos in a long, long time. Is your man Ringway Manchester still on the YouTube? I'm sure he is. He was blowing up. The last time I was seeing him, he was going to the moon. And it was all this mesh-tastic nonsense. Don't understand any of that. Fancy doorstop there, John. Oh, he doesn't like that. I thought you'd be into a bit of the old vintage scene. George Donaldson would work wonders with that. He'd probably God knows what he'd do with it. CB is not something I know a whole lot about, I must admit. Although I do pick up the odd one in a skip or that. That's a Comtron of some description for the Midland. These will be doorstops as well, I'm sure. Cases look very familiar. That's the thing, though, isn't it? Most of these are the same, aren't they? I think they only used, there was only a handful of chassis, wasn't there? They're all more or less the same. Look, same. I'm sure of other ones floating around too. The Ringway is pure clickbait these days. I agree. Yes. It's either Russian spies use shortwave radio to invade Ukraine, or Meshtastic, the system that the government can't track if you want to talk to other people. Yep, same inside, crunchy outside. He was tied in. The Ringway Manchester was tied in with another dude who I couldn't do a whole lot of. What was his name? He does he used to do videos on electric bicycles and crap like that. Andy something, is it? No. What? Yeah. Andy, Vintage Long is constantly fixing CBs, then complaining there's nobody there. Maybe he hasn't got a big enough aerial up, or he needs what do you call it, Ray? A burner. He needs a burner on the arse of the CB. Make the sky blue over his gaff. Still got a newspaper cutting from the late 70s. The first man to get busted in Buxton for transmitting on 27 a.m. got fined £100. Stingy. Kev B wants the kitten as well. Quite a few people want the kitten. Apparently, we had to go on when we were in the UK. We put Jenny into a cattery for a couple of nights, and the lady there said she's called a calico because she's got 3 different colours. So she's got little white socks. She's tabby, but she's got ginger in it as well, or whatever. Marmalade. So she's got 3 different colours. And she's very playful, very naughty. Yeah. There's an interesting little cat. And I'll tell you where we got her. We got her. Cousins of mine have a dairy farm in Wexford with lots and lots of kittens running around, and that's where we got her from. Good man, Chipmunk. We'll see you in a few minutes when you get that done. All I hear are professional CBers on 555, especially from Ireland, using ICOMs. Plenty of QRM here. Professional CBers using ICOM rigs up. Surely that's cheating, though. Surely that is cheating. Go down. Go on, go down. Go on. Do you ever chill out, cat? No. Yeah, the thing with the ICOMs and all that. Yeah. There's nothing on the midland. There's nothing on the mid-band below 27,375 LSB. I must get one of these CB radios going and see how much joy I have. Would love to see that shed of yours where you've got all the TVs stored in one day. You wouldn't be able to get into it, Richard. You see, this is the problem. The shed where the TVs are stored is actually a 20-foot shipping container, which is a bit full. It probably, I don't really sell me TVs. I've sold 1 or 2 televisions over the years, but there were more modern 80s stuff. I've never sold anything like this, but it's probably getting to the stage where I probably should move on 1 or 2 items to make a bit of space. I don't really need 4 Bush AA23s. So I don't know. You never know. The sad thing is, I don't even have a vintage TV in the house anymore. Especially with the little lad running around the house now, who's 21 months old tomorrow. It doesn't make little hands ramming in tuner buttons and stuff doesn't appeal to me. What is that dude's name? That is annoying me. Let's get it. Do. That is annoying me. Maybe someone's. Robert Ball is here. Good evening, John. I hope you are well. Just passing through tonight. No problem at all. Greetings to all in the TV world. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby Ball is a gentleman. Usually has a stall at the National Vintage Communications Fair, so it will probably be a familiar face to someone here that attend. And is a thorough gentleman from Manchester. Well, just outside Manchester. I think you're Stockport. But a very nice man and always an interesting conversation. Whether it be about vintage televisions or just life in general. So good to have you here, Bobby, anyway. And hopefully we'll get to see you in May, all being well. What do you watch Heartbeat on? Oh, John, what do I watch Heartbeat on? A boring Sony flat screen TV. That is 10 out of 10 there, Michael. That's exactly what I watch it on, yeah. And the Sweeney. But not to worry. We'll get back there one day. I suppose family commitments must come first in all this. Then earning a living, and then hobbies come third. And all this is being relegated at the minute, but it's going to be all waiting for me again in the future. Although I've been thinking, man, I'm going to take some of your opinions on this. I get quite a few emails with regard to taking in repair work. I haven't taken in repair work in quite a few years now. Did a little bit for a year or two after the TV shop closed down. But then I sort of gave up because I found it was taking up too much time. And it was distracting me from stuff I wanted to do myself. But, you know, because you'd have someone else's radio or whatever here and you'd be working on it. Your own stuff would sort of get ignored. And you get a backlog of your own stuff that you want to get done and so on. But, yeah, I've been getting a lot of emails lately about taking in repair work. And it's something I'm sort of debating about. Now, we are thinking about a workshop expansion. With regard to, we're thinking about upgrading to perhaps a 10-foot by 20-foot a porta cabin type site office kind of sort of job. Where we'll have more headroom. You see, the biggest problem with this place is space. This is a 10-foot by 20-foot shed, but the walls only go up to about 5 foot. And then the apex in the middle is probably up about 7. So we don't have the space. We don't have the shelf space or the wall space for drawers and stuff. So we're quite curtailed in here. So, but it's something I am thinking about doing anyway. That might take in a bit of repair work again. And between that and if I did get into the pot testing thing, it could be something. That could make life a little bit easier, you know. And if we were taking in a couple of £100 a week, sure, wouldn't be handy out of money. I do some of the older stuff as well. I am trying to be careful not to let it get beyond the hobby. Yeah. Funny enough, like I'm working kind of part-time now as well. Now, while I'm very busy with the family life and the thing, you know, if we could probably dedicate 2 or 3 hours a day if there was money involved. Can't really justify coming out here and spending 2 or 3 hours a day farting around when there's other stuff to be done as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's something I am seriously considering. I do kind of miss the interactions. And I have the space here at this property to do something like that as well, which would be good. As Roundy Mooney says, he wouldn't have had a hope when the kids were small. No, and that is a bit of a problem, all right, because, you know, but I don't know, we might be able to do something. It would be nice to be taking in a couple of repair jobs every week. And it wouldn't be just vintage radios. It might do the bit of white goods or something as well, you know. But it's coming up with the right price point. It has to be worth your while. Definitely has to be worth your while. One of the big problems we've seen over the years with people is undercharging. and some people even doing it at a loss, which is nonsense. You really should be charging, and this is something that Chaz Miller always said, who gave up fixing what he would have called at the time modern TVs and purely only focused on vintage radio repairs. Is that you have to charge up the proper rate, you know. And one of the problems is in Ireland is that there's a couple of people around the place that are not charging the proper rate, and they kind of spoil it for everyone else, which is not right, and I disagree with it. And it's one of the reasons why I've always sought to remain an isolationist within this vintage communications hobby, especially in Ireland. While I get on well with everyone, I don't tend to want to be overly involved with other people or groups. Although, to be fair, I've always balked at clubs, groups, and societies from a very young age. I sort of, as a child, I refused to get involved in sports or scouts or any of these things. I don't know. I just had this inbuilt thing about clubs, groups, and societies. And to be fair, I don't think that's done me any harm in the long run. No, I like to stay on the periphery and wish everyone well, of course. But yeah, no, you have to charge the going, right? I can remember the classic one years ago. Someone came into the TV shop with a radio for a repair, a vintage radio. It was an old Philips. It was a real oddball one because it had I remember I had a push-pull output stage, but the valves were different. There was a push-pull output stage, but it had an EL84 and an EL41. It was a weird bloody thing. Anyway, this treasured possession had been kept in a coal shed or some such for many, many years. Well, the cabinet was probably okay because it was of the heavy lacquer type. The chassis was quite rusted, and it was obvious it was going to need a new output transformer. Just looking in the door, looking in the back of it, you were talking output transformer, dial cord was short, chassis was very rusty, blah, 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 blah. Big long list, right? So I come up with a quote based on a rate. This is in the TV shop now. This is a professional quote. I can't remember what it was. It was quite steamy. Well, it wasn't, but we were talking sort of 250 quid. This is going back about 15 years. And the retort I got was, when the man came in to ask me what the story was with the quote, and a detailed list of work that was going to have to be done and blah, blah, blah. I was told, he retorted to me, well, there's a man in Baldoyle who will do it for what was it, €25. That's what he says. And I just looked and says, I don't know why you're standing in front of me. Did you think I was going to do it for less than that? And I gave him back the radio and off he went. And, you know, don't be wasting me time. But that was the sort of stuff you come across. So, yeah. I've no problem with people doing radio repair for themselves. It's a hobby, you know, collecting radio, fixing themselves. But don't be taking them in for repair work and doing a loss. And taking the dinner off people's plates is what you're doing when you're at that kind of crap. It's much akin to Michael Dranfield and anyone in the TV trade. We remember the arseholes that used to be in the newspapers years ago doing the TV repairs in the small ads, you know. Come to your house, guaranteed repair. And of course, they would turn up in their transit van and they'd take the back off the 3500, the Torn 3500 or whatever it'd be, and they'd turn up the HT, or they do whatever they had to do to make the television work long enough that they could get the cash out of the person's hand and get out the front door. And of course, the phone number never worked the second time. So, yeah. And that kind of stuff. Of course, if you're running a shop on the high street, paying rates and electricity and insurance and all the different things to go with it, it's very hard to compete with these shitheads, and that's what happened. A lot of the trade. That's why a lot of these TV shops closed. wasn't, you know, back in the 90s and that, there was still plenty of work out there. But the problem was you had all these cowboys going around in vans, the small lads, and they did an awful lot of damage to the trade. And I would say these lads are fixing vintage radios for pocket money, much the same way, unfortunately. In electric work, we call them drive boys, indeed. Uh, had a recent run in with a customer who doesn't know the difference between estimate and quotation. Ah, class, yeah. That's a good one as well, Ari. Want that work. Yeah. No, it happens, all right, and it's not great. Oh, the television's wrapped in cling film. Not good. I tell you who I felt bad for years ago. Do you remember the program? What was it called? Cowboys. I can't remember the name of the program, but the premise of the program was it was like Rogue Traders, but it was before Rogue Traders. So, you know, but they did one on TV repair, and they had their expert there, and they put a blown fuse into a VCR, I think it was, and they brought it into a TV shop to see what had happened. And it was a fairly, I wouldn't say it was a hefty bill. I think it was £45 or something for the repair. And of course, their expert balked at this, saying, £45 to replace the fuse. But what they didn't take into account was that the fuse didn't just blow. You know, your whatever the model of VCR was, you have to take into account that it's probably odd that the fuse is blown and that the man who took the back off probably spent an hour or two going through the VCR to see if there was anything wrong, if this was going to happen again. And yeah, why was the fuse blown? Because you don't just replace the fuse that's blown for the crack and put it back together and give it back to the person. The Coke report, I can't remember, but it could have been. It would have been in the 90s anyway, early 90s. But I felt sorry for him. Thought that wasn't fair. That was a bit nasty. Down here was high-end speaker systems with no drivers. Oh no, that'd be a bit sad. But you know what though? If you put a couple of very cheap drivers or just ordinary speakers into a set of high-end cabinets, most people probably wouldn't know the difference anyway. Um, yeah, not fair. I think the batteries are going in my mouse. And we got batteries there. No, probably not at hand. Had a client demand a discount on a flat rate service and 60 days. My response was court. It's the cheap ass customers with cheap equipment that make the most ridiculous demands. That's right. Yeah. Could have been the Cook report. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. And the customer tell you what's wrong and how long. Oh, you know what? I'm feeling less like I want to take in repair work again. Yeah. We'd loads of that in the TV shop, alright. Oh, God. Think about some of this shit. Blood Nose inquires. I've got a question for Odrange or Martin. I'm going to say that's Michael about DVC CRTs. Can I use the same NTSC tube from a television here to drive it with a PAL circuit? Yes, although I do think the TV tubes are optimized for 525 or 625 operation. But I don't see any reason why not. Yes, the shadow mask will be set up for 525, but it won't make that much of a difference, I don't think. It is. I have a couple of how many have I got? Well, two. Of two NTSC sets here, both from the mid 1980s. And yeah, the CRTs are different. You know just by looking at them, at the faceplate, that they're different. I think the phosphor dots might be slightly larger. And that would be to stop Maiore patterning. But yeah, the trick will be getting it's not going to be that much of an issue. It's not going to be that much of an issue, to be honest. There might be a tiny, slight loss of definition, but hardly enough to be noticeable, I would imagine. Trying to ship anything internationally with a CRT in it these days, I would imagine, would be difficult. I'm going to go, but I shall return in the near future. I have returned, thankfully, unharmed. I had one that I used to do that. I asked him one day, if you know what's wrong, why do you not fix it yourself? He said, I don't have a soldering iron. Go out and buy one. Indeed. One of the things I suppose I'm just thinking about, so I'd say some of the CB radio men could be a bit tricky, all right, because a little knowledge can be dangerous too sometimes. Underscore, right. It's also why I refuse to do radio repairs on mods. Don't know how you manage to live. Yeah. Oh, Chipmunk is Martin. Oh, I didn't know that. We will refer to Chipmunk as Martin from now on because Martin is probably easier to say. The Chipmunk 2008. Martin. I was Martin. I didn't realise Ojnaz was also Martin. I am not Martin. I thought you meant Michael. I thought it was a misprint. Being Michael Dronfield. I knocked one of my off the stand, landed on my knee, shattered the dust cover, broke the wire on the cone, and did me knee no favours, I should imagine. Chipmunk Martin. We had a loon who thought that coming back and fitting his Ring doorbell was part of the quote. We had to argue with him. The first customer I've actually charged RJ45 vlogs. Seeing the telly in Odger's shop got me thinking about my future project. Well, funny enough, if it's an older TV like that one, it'll be a Delta gun tube, and the shadow mask is probably likely to be the same. Do you guys use the pass-through RJ54s? So the wires stick out with a connector and the tool cuts them. It only took you seconds and you had a bag of 500. That's it. Dealing with the public can be frustrating. Yes. Yeah, I'm just thinking of one of the last interactions we had in the TV shop was a gentleman. My God. I'm going to say, probably one of the biggest pricks I've ever come across. And he brought a hi-fi in for repair. And we went over the hi-fi and we couldn't find nothing wrong. It sounded great and all that. And he was charged accordingly. Nominal amount for time. And came back a week later. Complained that his hi-fi was not fixed. And in the upshot of it, it turned out that the problem was his speakers. He hadn't brought the speakers into the shop, and then he wanted to bring the speakers into the shop, and we refused to interact with him any further. And he got very irate over this, But yeah, and that was the end of him then. We also had another dude who brought a small suitcase record player in for repair. One of the little small leatherette ones. I don't know if they were made by Danza or who they were made by. They were more like a little lady's makeup case. Anyone who collects them will know what I'm talking about. That was repaired. And it was upstairs in a repaired state for many, many, many months. And it was only when the shop closed that the man came looking for it. And he was a nightmare. He called into every other shop on the street, demanding to know what John's home address was. He went to the guards. This went on for months. It was quite unbelievable. But in the end, I gave the record player to a friend of mine for his wife. She enjoys it very much. But people are unreal. Luke Davis is here. Good evening, Luke. Spent years in retail, never ever again. I don't want to do time ordering them. Tommy Hannon's here. Good evening, Tommy. How are you? Hope you're keeping well. We have 34 watching with no, we have 31 watching now with 34 thumbs up. So we've passed our quota thing that we like. Then there's the other side of this, by the way. As I said earlier, I was talking about people undercharging for vintage radio repair and so on and forth. You'll remember in the summer, I put up a couple of community posts and a small video about the little display I had at the Moynalty Vintage Show, which was very successful and brought a lot of interest. I was actually approached that day about repair work many times, to which I said no to most people and whatever, because I'm not in a position at the minute either way. But I was talking to one gentleman who had a radio repaired by a very well-known Dublin company, who I won't name. But the price of the repair came to €575. And the repair work was radio got to a working state and a Bluetooth module added. But his problem was that the radio did not work as intended. And he had had the radio back with the person twice in the space of 2 years. And he had given up, basically. And he asked me, would I take a look at it? And I sort of said, well, I said no. Because I don't have the time at the minute either way. But yeah, that's the other thing. People overcharging and gouging. And this is a clear case of price gouging, definitely. So that's another thing that does an awful lot of damage as well. I believe in a fair price for fair work. I think is the easiest way to put it, the clearest way to put it. I wonder, is that one of the companies often touted on the Dublin radio page on this Facebook thing? It very well could be, but if you, I will tell you, Roundy, but I'll tell you in confidence, if you're interested. But yeah, I was shocked. I was very shocked, to be honest with you. I didn't, I've heard of people charging and stuff, but it was just astronomical, and it wasn't even a full restoration. Like, the cabinet and all had been left. I mean, if that was a full, the cabinet was done and this and that and the other, then maybe at a push. But the problem was that even after all this work that they were supposed to have done, it still didn't work properly. And it got me thinking about this Bluetooth business. I'm not into the Bluetooth business. I know Roundy Mooney does it for people, and that's fair enough. If it's something that's, if it's a thing that someone wants, and I can understand. Does it bother me that much? Not really, no. It doesn't bother me as such. It's not something I do. But it got me thinking about, I don't know if many of you remember, I did a video years ago on a little Pi radio that I got here that had been converted to Bluetooth. But the conversion was shocking, to the point of being dangerous. Terrible. And I actually had a spare chassis for this little Pi radio that I put in. So I un-Bluetoothed the Bluetooth radio. It worked out quite well. But it got me wondering, was this the sort of work that had been done on this radio? Because after all this, it still didn't work properly. So, yeah. Well, I make my own ones, but I keep the radio original. Well, you see, that's half the battle. If you keep the radio original, maybe that one came from North Cork. Could have. Do you remember the video in particular in question? It was, God, that's a long time since I made that video, actually. It was shocking. They got a three-way mains adapter out of the pound shop, hot glued it to the inside of the case, and then they got a Bluetooth module which was powered from, I think it was an iPhone charger, plugged into the thing, right? And then from that they had like, it was like a transistor radio that had, the circuit board had been cut in half, so it just had the AF amplifier section intact, and that was hot glued with a knob going out the front where the volume, the original volume knob for the radio would have been. And then there was a little speaker, I think, glued into the cabinet. It was really shocking. It was disgraceful, and it's a video. It's well worth looking if you're interested. How badly done this was. And then there was a lovely sticker on the back of the cabinet, you know, with the company name and all this on it. Now, obviously, I hid the company name. They're actually still around. This chap is still doing this, or he was anyway. I haven't looked him up. It's probably 5 years since I did that video. But he was still around at that stage, so I left that alone. No point getting into that end of things. But yeah, it's frightening, some of the stuff that goes on out there. Let me catch up with the chat again anyway. We have some more people in here. Well, 7 hours is down to Central Europe. It's a skill run for me. Let's see, where are we? I don't do self-work for this reason. Some people can't just be arseholes, can they? I think the cat's got the zoomies. Doing a lot of running around, cat. Hi everyone. When I was a kid in '83, I had a Sashio black and white portable TV. One day the screen got a white line in the centre. Sound was good, just no picture. Neighbour fixed. What would he have done to fix it? White line in the centre of the screen. Was the white line going up and down or left and right? It sounds like a dry joint on a flame output chip or something like that. Yeah, maybe that one came from North Cork. It didn't. He's still at that, is he? Our friend in North Cork. Yes, indeed. A few people just appeared. We have 37 watching with 40 thumbs up. That's quite good for a Sunday evening at 10:30. Wonderful stuff. Why would you bother? Like, indeed, why would you? Chip, did you see the Discord item that I spent 40 years looking for? That's weird, some of the things you can get though. Still see the odd one Odge. He doesn't even run a cloth over them. Yeah, no, it's cat. He's destroyed some very, this is, for anyone who doesn't know what myself and Rowney are talking about, there's a gentleman down in Rowney Mooney's part of the world, which is Cork, who does Bluetooth modifications to things. And by that, he completely rips the inside out of stuff. He's the kind of man who would put a Bluetooth speaker in an AVO meter and or some such things. And he has destroyed some very nice radios, which would have been worth more had he left them alone. He must sell them though. This is the thing, because he's on this Irish seller site called Adverts, which I suppose is like the equivalent of Gumtree in the UK or whatnot. Selling these things, but they're terrible. Best thing for an AVO. Well, you see, for anyone that doesn't know, Michael Dranfield had a terrible childhood experience at the hands of an AVO, an AVO 8 Mark III, which has scarred him. And that's why Michael will not allow any AVO branded equipment into his workshop, which is, he likes these horrible cheap Japanese multimeters like this. Ugh, yucky. Ugh. Well, I've 3 of them hanging up on that hook. Would you believe that? This would be like heaven for Michael. I'm going to do this, right? Just for the crack, I'm going to go. Oh, he'd love this one. It still has the booklet, and the meter is still in its original little bag. Oh, I might actually give you this the next time I see you, Michael. So this is Michael Dranfield's idea of heaven. Gemco multimeter galore. Look, I'll give you that one, the little with the booklet. No, the next time I see you, Michael. I actually meant to bring it over to the last time I visited you. Our little Japanese friends. I'm only joking. These Gemco meters are actually quite good. Probably should press one of them into service. But I suppose I've just gotten used to the Avo meters over the years. And funny enough, I didn't like the Avo 8. They sort of grew on me. For years I used an Avo Mark 10. Which I've shown before on the channel. It's a single knob Avo, which works quite well. And here it is here. Avo meter 10. I've more or less retired him because they're actually quite rare. They were made for export to places like Australia. I think they sold how many in the UK. They were making these at the same time they were making the Avo. But yeah, it's quite a nice meter, and it's a little bit simpler with single knob. Still sees occasional use. Now, of course, I've got quite a few Avo 8 sitting here, with 3 here. But yeah, the Avo 8 is a good meter. Someone gave me an Avo a few years ago and I have lost it. If I ever find it, you can have it. I'll tell you what, we'll do a swap. The 3 kV range on the 8 is handy, and it is handy. I agree with that, Chipmunk. And the Avo is something I trust with 3 kV in it. Will I trust one of these? I mean, probably not. They go up to 1,000 volt, or even that I feel a bit dodgy about. I had a terrible piece of luck, and I have to admit this. And Kev B is here because Kev B did it. I was rather stressed out one night a couple of months ago, and Kev B repaired 2 multimeters for me. One being a Fluke 83 Mark III, which I still have and cherish, and the other one being the first Avo or Fluke I ever got, which was a Fluke 110, which was given to me by a good friend of mine a long time ago. It gave me an appreciation for the difference between good multimeters and not so good multimeters. Anyway, the Fluke 110 was being utilised and was left on the boot of the car, and I drove off. It was only when I got up the next day I realised what I had done. And I retraced my steps and drove back up the road. But the Fluke 110 was not to be seen, so it's gone. I hope whoever picked it up off the road gives it a happy home. But it's no longer part of my collection, which is a bit sad. If it was any other meter, I wouldn't have minded so much. But the fact it was my first one, and it sat broken for so many years, and then Kev B put a new knob on it for me, which was so good of him. But yeah, I was really upset for a few days over that. It really bothered me. But then you have to remember, they're only inanimate objects. It would be worse if the little had died or something. But anyway, yeah, that was a bit of a stare. Kev B, unhappy face, you better believe it. Love that meter. Absolute, and it was such a good little meter. I can remember. So, the chap called John gave it to me when I was I would have been 18. And because I had a He was a mechanical worker. Well, he was an apprentice mechanic. He was a year ahead of me. The meter that they gave us when we started got nicked off me when I was in the tech. I was a piece of shit. He was some Chinese fucking thing. But and John gave me that Fluke 110. I remember, Jesus, this is a great meter. Does all sorts of stuff, and it's real fast and blah 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 blah. I remember then the knob broke off that after about a year or two. I don't know what happened, but the little shaft on the knob snapped. I kept it, but it broke. And I remember going down to Maplin's. I thought, I need a multimeter. What would I buy? So they had a UT60A. I thought this would be fairly good, yeah. We'll use this. And I can remember bringing it home, taking it out of the box and using it, and just going, this is terrible. This is a piece of shit. And it annoyed me so much that I actually left it on the bring and buy stall at the MVCF one year. I was threw it on the stall and walked away. So someone else can have you. It was terrible. So that made me realise the difference between good digital multimeters and not so good ones. And there is a huge difference. But yeah, so yeah, I was sad to lose that. One of those things. A lot going on. I wasn't thinking and left it on the boot of the car. But it didn't even enter my mind that I had done that until the next morning. Anyway, Altai. Now there's a quality brand. Altai are okay, yeah. I've got a lovely meter here actually at the minute. Where did I put him? I love the way when I mention something. I think it's at my hand, but then I realise that it's not. Well, maybe I put it away. Or did it fall on the ground? It did. It fell on the ground. Here's a nice little one we got out of Skip. It's a Micronta. This is quite nice actually. Manual arranging, but quite nice. It does a little self-test thing there when you switch it on. Very, very good little meter. It's got a bit of heft to it. It's nice. Micronta. It's a 22-185. And of course, Radio Shack. Nice little meter. Unity, not bad at all. Well, I tell you what, I'd agree with you there, Mr. Smonjon. Unity aren't that bad. And one of the reasons why I bought that Unity meter was my old pal John in the TV shop had a Unity meter for years. It was a UT80A. I have it here somewhere. Don't know where. In the confines of the shed is his old meter. And he had it he must have had it for 15 years. And it was very good. 80,000 count. Blah, 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 blah. Very nice meter. And that made me think this Unity meter that was for sale at Maplin would be good too. But it turns out that Unity can be very variable. And that was the case. So that Unity, the Unity UT60A is a terrible meter. The UT61 apparently is quite good. But yeah, it just depends. So I wouldn't knock Unity altogether. But they're variable. Analog is still important. That's quite right, Dennis. And the two go hand in hand. You can't say one over the other. You need both. Well, it depends what you're doing. But if you're at this sort of crap, you kind of need both. The input jacks aren't great. And I did. Now, they weren't too bad on that John's one. The one thing that used to happen to John's UT80A or whatever it was called, was the switch used to get dirty. And every couple of years, I'd open it up for them and I'd clean the contacts inside, put it back together, and it'd be good to go again. But it did used to go a bit funny and it sort of lose its marbles a bit, or the little wipers would get dirty, which wasn't ideal. But no, his one was quite good. Let me catch up with the comments here. Bent bits of tin metal. Yeah, well, to be fair, John's one didn't have that, but that UT60A was a waste of space. I have on my Quanta analog one is here too somewhere. Being attacked by the cat again. Dennis thinks he has most of those brands. Probably has already. Jerry's old enough to have had an Evo as his official company meter. Very nice. Did you know a DMM can damage automotive ECU in some cases? Need to use analog. Well, an analog one could too on the ohms range. I'd take this as trying to ohm out CAN bus with it plugged into the ECU, which isn't a good idea. You need to be really, really careful. No, you know, because John Joe works as a bus mechanic. But to be fair, my boss man is the looks after most of the laptop work because I hate that stuff. I don't do it at all. I don't want to know. I'd rather be underneath with the old hammer and chisel. You know, As Chipmunk says, Swan John, it depends on the actual meter a lot. It does indeed. Kev B's getting sick at the thought of Unity. To be fair, the one that John had, I think, was their flagship model. Probably still is that flagship model. But I don't know. Are Unity still going? Are they still as relevant as they were? And is there any interest in meters coming out of China? Remember about 5 or 6 years ago, there was lots of interest in meters coming out of China. Really good ones, like the Anning range. And that seems to have died off now. Chipmunk has a mil-spec Fluke 23. I've got a Fluke 29, which seems to be a rare enough beast, actually. I can't find out that much about the 29. Lovely little meter. I found it in a skip outside a building site, and I had the name of the electrician on a little sticker on the side of it. And I remember walking by this building site. This is a couple of years ago, and I seen this yellow thing cut the corner of my eye. I knew straight away what it was. I dived in. Fluke. So I brought it home, opened it up, and the only thing that was wrong with this meter was the contacts were dirty on the switch. So ISO, propel, bit of a clean, bang it all back together. Beautiful little meter. But the gas thing is, the name of the electrician on the side of it, I actually knew him. He used to play pool in the pub I used to drink in on a Thursday. They had a little league thing going on. Shay was his name. I won't mention his second name. But I put it in my pocket of my cranby, and I went down one Thursday night and I produced a meter. And I said, Shay, I think you lost something. He said, where'd you get that? I said, I got it out of a skip. Said, yeah. He says, I fixed it, you know. He's fair play to your son, that's great. So he said, well, I hope you get plenty of use out of it. Nice, man. Anyway, that was the story of the meter that I happened to know the chap who threw it away. Yeah. True story though. If you're after something cheap but reasonable, wait until Aldi gets them in. Yeah, I believe they're okay, the Aldi ones. You need a zebra strip for the display. They can be cleaned. I don't think you always have to replace them. Try clean it with isopropyl. Kev B is the expert. I think you can clean them with isopropyl. And is there something about a pencil as well? With a bit of graphite on them? Little multimeter, so called, because it gives multiple values. Where am I? I'm way back in the chat here. We've 34 viewing with 41 thumbs up. That's not bad. That's not bad at all for a Sunday night. It's 10 to 11. We should sign off soon enough. I highly recommend looking for a copy of The Sam's Fun Way into Electronics by Dick Smith. It's Australian. Just turn the book upside down. There's 3 volumes and they make it easy. Hate slow meters. That's one of the reasons why I like Flip so much. Is that, you know, they're just, it's a reasonable recount, you know. A refresh rate of 3 times a second is reasonable, I think. And less than that is just going to be a bit too slow. And faster than that's going to be too hard to read. Parkside. Analog meter is best for testing semiconductors. The terminal voltage will show leakage. A digital won't. Indeed it will. The Matt Grimm is all the way here from Germany. Good evening, Matt. I hope you're keeping well. Did you get near that Bush television? Analog for alignment radios? Absolutely. Oh, talking about radio alignment. Something I've wanted for years, right? On my list for years. And I did make one. I did a bit of a homebrew job, but it wasn't great. Was an output power meter, right? And I recently came across one. A really, really nice one. And I'm going to show it to you now. Now, there's not much in an output power meter. An output power meter, for anyone that doesn't know, is it measures output power, audio output power of an amplifier or a radio. And it tells you how much power would be going to the speaker if it was connected on an analog meter. Right? And this can be very useful for a couple of things. You can see how much amplification you're getting, you know. So for say a certain set input, you get a certain set output. Now you could do this with a oscilloscope as well, of course, especially a 2-channel oscilloscope would show. But of course, this might have been from the days when oscilloscopes weren't as widely available. And it could also be used for peaking. So if you're aligning a radio, of course, again, you can use an oscilloscope, you can use your ear, or you can use an output power meter, which can be quite useful, right? So if you're aligning the IF, you're tuning in to the IFs, the needle goes all the way up, you know you're getting well. And it's so well made. And the reason why it's so well made is made by a company called Marconi, right? The thickness of the steel that the case is made out of is just ridiculous. Look at this. I actually have to get close to the camera. It's very heavy for what it is. Because there's no active electronics in this. It's just a meter and 2 banks of resistors. Look at that. Isn't that class? Wanted one of those for years. It works. Meter's okay. Thankfully, it's not open circuit or anything like that. And it's so well made. I mean, you could shoot at this. And it's the kind of thing you can imagine being used to align CR100s and that kind of stuff. So really happy about that. And it does work. We've measured the output power of a transistor radio here, pocket radio, one day. And life was good. So yeah, really happy about finding that. That would be a cherished item. Just keep checking out the display. Clean with IPA and a bit of pencil lead on PCB contacts. See, Kev, I remembered. You could use it as a weapon. Yeah, I could. It's ridiculously heavy for what it is. And it's obviously, it strikes me as being what I don't know. I've Googled it, and there's not that much about them. I think it's wartime. It certainly strikes me as being something, around the Marconi CR100 kind of time frame. It's for those playing at home who want to. It's a TF output power meter TF340 Marconi Instruments Limited. A lovely Sangamo Western moving coil meter. And of course, hand marked in India ink by some little woman who's probably long gone now, God love her. We wouldn't have modern gear without old gear. I've got the Marconi RF power meter in the shed somewhere. I've come across them. Roundy Mooney put a link to the Radio Museum. Yeah. It's not exactly the same as this one, though, I don't think, if we recall. Now, it's a couple of months ago since I got this and looked it up. But it's a beautiful instrument. And the fact that the meter is intact as well, of course, and it works is ideal. So you've got two knobs in it. One is for meter sensitivity, and then the other one is output impedance of whatever it is. So you can go from 2 ohm output impedance to, I think, 800 ohms, something like that. So yeah, a beautiful piece of equipment. I also got, on the same day as I got that, I got the RF what do you want? RF voltmeter, millivoltmeter, which I will show as well someday. Just round it up quickly. Obviously, it'll want the going over. You'll probably want the caps changed and that, but it does work, and the meter's intact as well. So how useful they are these days, because I think they need, the valves have to be matched in them or something, I seem to remember. It's not quite as simple. Anyway, most Marconi test gear is able to hold its own against HP, at least back in the day. Indeed, someone was giving out there a while ago, not in the last couple of days, in the UK Vintage Radio Forum, they were saying, the Americans had HP and who else did they say? Who's the other well-known test equipment manufacturer from America? Oh, it's gone out of my head. And we had Marconi and Avon. As if to say that the American stuff was better, but there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with Marconi stuff. Luke Davis is going to shoot Tektronix. That's right. He said the Yanks had HP and Tektronix, and we had Marconi and Avon. There's nothing wrong with Marconi or Avon. Roden Schwartz is good gear. Yeah, I know a fella has a polyscope, but he wanted me to buy it off him. He said I could have it for £1,000, but I wasn't really that keen. Luke, thanks for calling in, and we'll see you again in another live stream on another night. And do watch out for my videos when they do appear. Yeah, it was all Marconi or Rackle stuff. Nothing wrong with either of them. I have a Rackle radio here, the RA17. Did I make a video about that? I can't remember. I haven't done anything with it, but it does work. But it'll want the full on over, along with a lot of stuff I have. And I got something recently which I need to make a video on. I need to make a video on so much stuff and I haven't got the time. This is the killer. It's the time. But I'm after getting some interesting stuff. One of them is a Marconi radio. Marconi shipboard radio from the 50s, which we are really looking forward. Checking the Bitcoin again. The Bitcoin has gone up. I actually have a little bit of Bitcoin, but not enough. Not enough that's going to make any difference. I bought like 20 quid's worth of Bitcoin last year, which is now like 60 quid's worth of Bitcoin, which isn't bad, granted, but it's not going to pay off any serious debt or anything like that. This is Mr. Snookums. I was calling Jenny Mr. Snookums at the start, and it's hard to get to wear it off. I think she's getting tired now. She's sitting here asleep. Yeah, sleepy cat. Oh. Boring, isn't it? Boring. Why are you wearing that strange coat? And why are you talking crap at the camera screen? Huh? I don't know. Mine Bitcoin works great as a space heater. I don't know. It's not worth your while now, is it? Or has it? I don't understand all this, to be quite honest. But I did know of someone who was mining Bitcoin and had a rake of computers or whatever set up, and they were ducting the hot air off the computers into their house to heat up their house. So, yeah. I designed and built some alignment aids for civil and military radar installation to go to Iraq, to go in between the dish and the rack of computer. Ooh. The Bitcoin is a byproduct of the fact that it heats up the house. I don't know if we lose any energy from CPU heat. No, probably not. My girlfriend has been with Vodafone for almost a quarter of a century. Yes, it was. Oh yeah, that's right. Kev B, yes. I think everyone is probably aware of this story. It's been well covered. The guy who binned his hard drives years ago, full of Bitcoin, and they're now worth, obviously 10 hours worth of Bitcoin back then. It's now worth, millions and millions. Well, it's gone up threefold since I read the article last year. So, and it was at some astronomical rate then. So God knows what it is. But the council won't allow him access to the tip. He actually has said, now this was before the Bitcoin went to the moon, when it was at 30 grand or whatever, that there would be enough money in it to give everyone in the town, I don't know, 100 quid or something like that. And then also there'd be so much money there that he could, everything that was in the tip, as he was going through it looking for the hard drives, he could recycle and actually do away with the tip. And then you had a plan to turn the tip into a town park or something. And of course, the council are refusing this outright. No way will this be allowed. Isn't that terrible? When you think about, now, I know this is in the UK, but it's much the same. Democracy works the same in Northern as it does in the UK. At the end of the day, these people are supposed to work for us. Anyway, I don't like getting political. I'll try to stay. I'm kind of politically agnostic anyway. It's bollocks. It's not worth any amount of money for him to risk damaging the lining of the waste pit. It's a very toxic environment. Perhaps it is, yeah. But I know we did have some sort of a plan. There is no inherent value in the Bitcoin, so it's not something for nothing. Yeah, Bitcoin is. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be. Bitcoin is a bad idea. What was it? One of the South American countries took it on as. You install a diesel heater? How was that working out, JJ? The diesel heater was working great, although the pump got blocked on it, and I brought it into work and I stripped it down about 2 months ago, and it's still stripped down on the bench. I need to put it back together. But what I would say is the little Chinese diesel heater, excuse me, work very well, and they're worth getting, definitely. But yeah, no, nothing but good experience. The reason why it stopped working is I was putting lots of used filtered cooking oil, but I was mixing it a bit too strong with the diesel, and it blocked up the little pump. Microwave heaven on the tip this morning. Yeah, they are very efficient on diesel. I need to get back working. I was actually gifted several 100 litres of green diesel or red diesel to our UK friends, but it's green over here. Because someone got rid of our central heating tank and got in gas. Yes, Kevy Webby Will was here. Good evening, Mr. Will. Webby, Kevy. It's great to have you. Great to have you here, Kev. Oh, do you know what? I've been reading your comments, and I was reading Kevy Webby Will's comments. I think they were Kevin B's comments. Sorry. Welcome aboard anyway, Kevy. Good to have you here. I've always said that Kevy Webby Will and Kevy B will be a great meeting of minds if they were to meet. We can't get red diesel here in the UK anymore. Oh no. Good Irish name indeed. This chat right here is a great meeting of the minds. Thank you, Blood Nose. And I'm very happy to be able to facilitate such a meeting. We always said that from the start here that it was quite good, all right. And it always has been. The chat here and this small little community, which never got out of hand, has always been so friendly and well-mannered to one another, even if they have people in the chat have slight little technical differences. Everyone is always very respectful of one another and of me, I must say, and makes me very proud that I'm able to facilitate such a chat. It's good. Okay, did my mate Tim make it to you with a Sony television? Ooh. Andy is here. This is where I found out about his channel. Andy is here. I must be watching. Oh, so he is. Vintage Electronics Repair. Andy. How are you, Andy? I hope you're keeping well. I had hoped to get over to the Galbarn for October, but alas, between family commitments, as I'm sure you understand, it was not to be. Hopefully, because I knew I'd have to go over to the UK at the end of November, and I could not justify going twice, unfortunately. But I hope to get over to the Galbarn again at some stage. For those who don't know, the British Vintage Wireless Society run a show 2 times a year in Galbarn in Greater Manchester. It's a very small vintage radio show, but really good and well worth attending. Of course, Andy goes every year with a small stall, of stuff along with his a couple of his pals, and they sit in the corner in a sort of a rogues gallery. I call it the naughty boy corner. I've only been once, but it was a wonderful experience. And I intend on going again at some stage. Might get to the summer one, the weather will be better. I think they have one, what is it, October and is it May? Is the next one? We'll see. But yeah, no, it's not May. I don't know. It's in the summer. Maybe it's March. I don't know. But yeah, it would be good to get over there. Anyway, great to have you here, Andy. Thanks for tuning in, pal. I was not aware of that. Oh no. Getting up early on a Sunday is never good. This is Andy of the Vintage Electronics Workshop. I should say Vintage Electronics Repair. I'm in Stoke, so Manchester, Warrington, only 40 minutes away. When I was over in the UK at the end of November, so my father, for those of you who don't know, well, we've said this before, my father lives in the UK. He lives in a place called Colville in Leicestershire. So we went over to see him. And then my wife has relations down in Brighton. So then we drove over and we drove down to Brighton and we spent a couple of days with them. But on my way, I went into Stoke. And I found Stoke to be quite an interesting place. We met some wonderful young people who were, I think they were taking heroin or some such, outside some abandoned buildings. And they were very friendly. Also went into a shop, a charity shop, which was the largest I'd ever seen. It was like a big, huge warehouse full of furniture. But this warehouse, if you can imagine, was so large and vast that it was hard from the front door to see the end wall. It must have been over 500 yards long. It was an incredible place. So we had a good walk around there as well. So I found Stoke very interesting. The next, he's got a cold. Oh, there. I was led to believe that it was far more serious than that, Andy. The next one is in April. Aye. Let's see. January, February, March, April, May, March, April. We might be able to do April. We'll see. If I can tie it into some sort of a family doodah with the old man, it could work. Chipmunk, this was fascinating. It was. There was some vintage electronics in this place too, although nothing of great interest. Although there was an organ, but I think it might have been solid state. I'd love to get one of those old valve organs, you know. But yes, no, it was some size. Kev B usually goes to the Galbarn. Of course, we met Kev B at Galbarn, didn't we? You know? I think that was our first meeting, was at Galbarn. Stoke's awash with monkey dust nowadays. It's a no-go area. Yes, I got that impression, Kev. Now, of course, I spent my time driving a bus around Dublin City for 8 years, so I'm well used to no-go areas. So I found it all quite comical. They were quite friendly, if out of their mind. Yeah, no, it was interesting. On a serious note, though, there was a certain amount of social deprivation in Stoke, all right. It was actually incredible to see the amount of boarded up houses and shops and things like that. Yeah. But I find out with an awful lot of the high streets, even in the UK, even in the more affluent areas, that all the different little funny shops that used to be there, say 10 or 15 years ago, they've all been replaced by charity shops. Now, it's obviously some sort of a tax thing or whatever, but I mean, you know, I can remember standing on one high street and there was 5 charity shops all next door to one another, all with nothing really for sale. You know, some old raggy clothes and a few bits of bric-a-brac, but nothing of any great substance. Because I believe all the good stuff is sold on eBay by these crowds. But yeah, it's sad the way these places go. The cat is a great companion. Happy out. The cat's happy out, all right, and it's behaving itself. Yeah, she'll grow into be a fine big cat, I'm sure. Won't you? Yes. Meow. Meow. You will recall maybe last year that we had a little friend that used to come in here as well. But sadly met with a road traffic accident. Next door neighbour's cat. It was a fine big Tom, or was going to grow into be a fine big Tom. And he used to come into the shed here quite often when I was working here, leave the door open and he'd come in. But sadly, someone didn't slow down for him one night. So it's nice to have another feline companion. I ventured to Stoke this afternoon to the cash and carry, then made a quick retreat back to the mall. It's very sad, but every city, I think every city is being affected by this. The monkey dust thing hasn't really took off in Ireland yet. It's more the crack that they're at. But I'm sure it'll come in time. But yeah, every city has the same problem. You wonder if it's this bad now, where's it going to be in another 10 or 15 years? JJ, can you see them? The diesel for all electric hybrid with the greens, with the green bullshit. Oh yeah, no, that's the plan. The plan is for the diesel fleet of buses to go electric. Well, they're electric now. All the new ones coming in are electric. Hybrid from 2018, I think. 2019, and then all electric from last year. Although funny enough, Alexander Dennis have said, Wright have said that they're going to start making a new bus with a Cummins diesel engine at next year. So what does that say for this hydrogen thing that they were pushing so hard? The Route Master 2 was a hybrid, I think. For the few Boris Masters that are left around, they were hybrids, but most of them, the hybrid gear is not working, and they're going around in full diesel mode the whole time, revving the shit out of themselves. And they were made by Wrightbus, but they were not a success. Quite a few of them have been scrapped. They can't get the parts in them anymore, which is a problem. Electric motors have the torque right when you need it. Yeah, indeed. Wright is owned by JCB now, I think. That is correct. The original Wright family, the last in the heir to the throne, was involved in building a church for tax purposes. And then what he used to do was he used to get heroin addicts and so forth to join the church. And then he used to get these heroin addicts to build the buses in the factory. And it was like this whole cult thing. And this is true. They made a television program about this. It's actually unbelievable. But anyway, yeah, it all came to a head, and all the money that was supposed to be in Wrightbus ended up in this church, and then it went defunct, and then JCB bought it out. And when they bought it out, they were going to build all these hydrogen buses, but that's been shelved. And we'll start putting the next generation Cummins engines in them. But anyway, Euro 6 diesels are basically farting out air out the pipe cleaner than what goes in anyway. So I think it's time to stop all this nonsense. I live within walking distance of JCB headquarters. They are major landowners in the Staffordshire Moorlands. Oh. I know when you go down, is it the I can't remember, what motorway is it? You go down and they're all on the left-hand side as you're heading south. It's not the M6, is it? Go down for there. Chipmunk says his electric buses around here, the entirely electric, seem to work fine. You'll find there's probably problems in the background that they're hiding. All it's going to do is take someone's attic full of lithium batteries to go up, and the house insurance will put a halt to that. Yeah, quite likely. As you come onto the M1, that's right. Yeah, from the A50, yeah. No, cat, don't walk on the keyboard. You were grand. You were sleeping there a minute ago. Go sleepies. Go sleepies. That's it. Yeah. No, I've driven past it a couple of times already over the years. It's some size place. Cat wants to play us some music. Can't do that. Come on, cat. It's going to be a game now, is it? I put you there and then you jump up on my back and so on and forth. That's just a part store. There's some operation already. They're the right crowd to take over a right bus anyway, for sure. Anyway, it's now 20 past 11. So I am going to pull the plug on our live stream tonight. It's been quite good. And hopefully we'll do another one soon. I'm not going to make any false promises, but I'll go on, well, we might do one next Sunday for an hour or two. I want to thank everyone tonight for tuning in, participating. It's the participation that makes it, because me sitting here on my own drinking cans doesn't really make for much entertainment. I have to have you to bounce off, and no, it's been quite good. Thank you all for tuning in. In no particular order: Blood Nose, Jim Simpson, Kevy B, Kevy Mike Gardner, hello Mike, White Sapphire, Jerry BVR, Chipmunk, Tommy Hanlon, Richard 100, Jim Simpson. Thank you all. To those of you who watch but don't comment, Swan John. It's always nice to have everyone here. I do like it when people do comment, but I know some people aren't in a position or don't feel comfortable commenting, but do like to watch the live stream. And that's okay too. We've no problem with that. So thank you all very much. Hopefully next Sunday, all being well. It's coming up to Christmas. We might even have some Christmas lights up by then if we manage it. Thank you all. Mike Gardner, sorry you joined late. Maybe catch you later, hopefully. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you all very much. _ Wonderful. Okay, good night. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.